Before there was pavement underfoot, before bridges, trails, neighborhoods, and city limits, there was a river, a bluff, and a quiet bend in the land that would one day become Little Rock. Today's run, just under 4 miles in length, completed in 40 minutes, unfolded in low 50-degree temperatures, under cloud-heavy skies, with a fine mist lingering in the air and the ground still damp from earlier rain. It was a quiet morning. Few people were out. The kind of stillness that allows history to speak if you're willing to listen. And this is a city that has a lot to say. Long before this place was called Little Rock, long before Arkansas itself existed, the land beside the Arkansas River served as a natural meeting ground. The river was not just water, it was movement, trade, survival, and connection. Indigenous peoples used this corridor for thousands of years, navigating the river's currents and relying on its seasonal rhythms. The defining landmark, the Little Rock itself, was not large in size, but enormous in importance. This rocky bluff marked a rare natural crossing point along the river. For travelers moving west, it signaled a transition. The softer floodplains of the Mississippi region gave way to firmer, higher ground. It was a place to stop, rest, and regroup. In 1722, French explorer Jean-Baptiste Bernard de la Harpe recorded the site as La Petite Roche. At the time, it was nothing more than a geographic reference, but geography shapes destiny. What made this place valuable then is the same reason it remains central now: access. By the early 1800s, as the United States expanded westward following the Louisiana Purchase, this bluff became strategically critical. Settlers, traders, and soldiers all passed through. In 1821, the settlement was officially named the capital of the Arkansas Territory, chosen not for comfort or beauty, but for logistics, proximity to the river, defensibility, and central location. Little Rock was born not as a dream, but as a necessity. As the city grew, it absorbed waves of change. Statehood in 1836, the turmoil of the Civil War, Reconstruction, segregation, integration, and the Civil Rights Movement. Each era layered itself onto the streets, trails, and riverbanks that still exist today. And that history isn't locked in museums. It lives under your feet. Today's run moved at an average pace of 10:15 per mile, with a steady average heart rate of 143 BPM. Unmistakably a base run, built not for speed, but for patience. The effort mirrored the environment. Controlled, quiet, unforced. With 52 feet of total elevation gain, the route stayed gentle, rolling softly like the land that once guided river travelers and settlers alike. The mist in the air softened the sound of each footfall. The wet pavement demanded awareness. The lack of crowds allowed space for reflection. This wasn't a run meant to impress. It was a run meant to connect. Just as Little Rock wasn't built overnight, fitness isn't either. Both are shaped slowly. By consistency, by adaptation, by showing up even when conditions aren't perfect. They begin when their names are written down. They begin when people decide a place is worth returning to. Long before the word Little Rock existed, long before maps flattened the land into borders and parcels, this bend in the Arkansas River was already a corridor of movement, memory, and survival. For thousands of years, indigenous nations moved through this region with an understanding of the land that did not seek to conquer it, but to cooperate with it. The Quapaw, Caddo, Osage, and other native peoples did not see the river as an obstacle to overcome or a resource to exploit in isolation. It was a living system, one that demanded patience, timing, and respect. They understood seasonal flooding, migration patterns, soil behavior, and weather shifts not as inconveniences, but as signals. To live here required listening. That listening is what modern life forgets first. Native trade routes followed elevation changes and water access, choosing paths that minimize strain rather than maximize speed. Camps were placed with intention. Movement was purposeful, not frantic. Endurance was valued over display. Survival depended on restraint as much as effort. That philosophy mirrors base training more than most people realize. Base work isn't about aggression. It isn't about domination. It's about learning the terrain of your own body, heart rate, breath, fatigue, recovery, and respecting what it tells you. Push too hard, too often, and the system collapses. Ignore signals and injury arrives. The indigenous understanding of land and the endurance athletes' understanding of training are rooted in the same truth. Sustainability is strength. When European explorers arrived, they misunderstood that truth almost immediately. They saw the bluff called La Petite Roche not as part of a living network, but as a marker, a waypoint, a claim. What indigenous peoples had known as a place of transition and balance became, in colonial thinking, a place of ownership. The river stopped being a shared artery and became a boundary to control. Control changes everything. As settlement grew and native nations were forcibly removed, the city that would become Little Rock began to rise on displacement. Trails became roads. Camps became forts. Movement became regulated. What had once been an ecosystem of cooperation hardened into infrastructure designed for extraction and expansion. That pattern repeats throughout history. When Arkansas became a territory and then a state, Little Rock was chosen not because it was welcoming, but because it was useful. The river allowed supplies to move. The land allowed fortification. The city was shaped by logistics long before it was shaped by ideals. And yet people still lived their lives here. Worked, walked, endured. The Civil War turned Little Rock into a strategic prize, not for its culture, but for its position. When Union forces occupied the city, it didn't liberate it from struggle. It layered new trauma onto old wounds. Reconstruction promised progress, but delivered contradiction. Laws changed faster than hearts. Freedom existed on paper long before it existed in practice. The weight of that contradiction pressed hardest on Black communities. Segregation carved the city into invisible borders more rigid than any riverbank. Neighborhoods were divided. Opportunity was rationed. Movement, literal movement through the city, became a political act. Where you could walk, where you could live, where you could attend school, where you could gather, all of it was controlled. And still, people moved. That's the part history sometimes glosses over. Resistance wasn't only marches and speeches, it was endurance. It was showing up day after day under systems designed to exhaust you. It was living fully in spaces that told you you didn't belong. Endurance again. In 1957, when 9 Black students integrated Little Rock Central High School, the world watched this city become a symbol. Soldiers stood where children should have felt safe. Hatred screamed where learning should have happened. The images were loud, but the real story was quieter. The discipline it took to walk through that door every day anyway. That discipline is not different from the discipline of base training. It's not flashy. It doesn't feel heroic in the moment. It feels heavy, repetitive, draining, and necessary. You don't build resilience by sprinting through resistance. You build it by staying present inside it. Today's run existed inside that lineage of endurance. Not in comparison, but in continuity. A quiet morning, low 50s temperatures, cloud cover pressing down, mist hanging in the air, wet pavement reflecting muted light, few people on the trail, no applause, no spectacle, just forward motion. The body stayed controlled. Heart rate steady, effort honest, pace unforced. The conditions asked for awareness, not bravado. Slippery ground demanded attention. Cool air required patience. The lack of crowds created space. Not loneliness, but room to listen. That listening is what endurance training teaches best. When you slow down enough, you hear everything. Breath, foot strike, fatigue, recovery. You learn when to hold back and when to lean in. You learn that progress doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It whispers. Little Rock whispers too, if you let it. Every trail here crosses history, whether it acknowledges it or not. Every bridge spans more than water. Every quiet stretch of pavement overlays paths once walked by people whose names were never recorded, but whose lives shaped the land anyway. The modern city likes to present itself as renewed, revitalized, forward-looking. And it is, but only because it continues to move despite carrying everything behind it. The past doesn't vanish. It trains you. Training works the same way. You don't erase bad runs. You absorb them. You don't forget injuries. You adapt around them. You don't skip base work and expect longevity. You commit to it because you understand that durability is earned slowly. That's what today represented. Not a performance, but a practice. Not a destination, but a return. Who once moved through this land understood that returning mattered more than conquering. The civil rights leaders who endured violence understood that consistency mattered more than spectacle. The athletes who last the longest understand that base work matters more than peaks. This run wasn't about speed. It wasn't about distance. It was about honoring the quiet discipline that sustains everything else. Because cities fall when they stop listening. Bodies break when they stop listening. The river keeps flowing not because it is strong every day, but because it is patient every day. It yields when it must and pushes when it can. It adapts its path without losing its direction. That is endurance. And as feet left the pavement today, mist still in the air, clouds still overhead, work completed without fanfare. The story didn't end. It continued. Just like the city. Just like the training. Just like the people who came before, whose endurance made this moment possible, whether their names are remembered or not. Quiet miles matter. They always have.